Bien, bonsoir à tous. J'ai la chance d'avoir en ligne un des cofondateurs des Talking Heads et de Tom Tom Club, Chris Frantz, le batteur. Cette vidéo sera publiée sur mon compte YouTube ainsi que sur le groupe Facebook Talking Heads Fear of Music, créé autour de Fear of Music justement. L'interview sera ensuite transcrite sur le site songwriting.fr. Cette interview va se dérouler en anglais. Hello, we have the chance to be connected with one of the co-founders of Talking Heads and Tom Tom Club, Chris Frantz, the drummer. This video will be then published on my YouTube channel and also on the Facebook group I created called Talking Heads Fear of Music, le groupe. This interview will be then published on the written form on songazine.fr. I would like our English native language audience to be indulgent for my light French accent.
Chris, are you there? Chris?
Yes,
Oh,
I am here.
oh, thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, Chris. You don't want to do it in French, I know.
No, because my French is very. I speak French like Tarzan speaks English. You know. Me hungry now. Me go search restaurant.
Okay. I will not do Jane, so Chris, thank you for your kindness accepting this interview. I noticed that I tell the people that we don't know each other. I know you better than you know me because I'm listening to your music for a long time ago, and I read your book twice. I read it twice because
Merci.
too much little stories, too much information in this book, a lot of love in this book. So
Yes.
you have to read it twice. Maybe I will read it another time in the next day. So Chris, so I would like to, I will appeal to your memories a little bit, if you want to, and tell me the first time when you met David Byrne before Talking Heads. What were how did you meet him, and when did you start play with him, and what were your first impression when you hear that singular voice and he's playing? What did you feel at this moment? Because it was not the David Byrne we know today, but at the beginning, how was he, and how do you manage with his voice and his playing?
Okay. Well, David and I, and also Tina, we're all students at the Rhode Island School of Design in Providence, Rhode Island. And that's an art school, a very good, excellent art school. And Tina and I were studying painting.
Yeah.
David had dropped out. David dropped out of the school, but he returned to Providence just to hang out. And a friend of mine, another friend, a guy named Mark Kehoe, was making a student film. He was in film school at the Rhode Island School of Design, and he was making a film about his girlfriend getting run over by a car, by an automobile. And he wanted, it was a short film, and he wanted some, cacophonous music to go with it. And he said, Chris, could you help me create some music for this film? And I said, sure, Mark, I'd be happy to. And he said, do you mind if I bring along a friend who plays guitar? And this is all in my book, by the way.
Yeah.
But anyway, my friend brought, well, at the time I was keeping my drums at Tina's little apartment, carriage house it was, where they used to keep horses and things and carriages, and it had been remodeled by her father. and he fixed it up for her to live there.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And so on the day we were supposed to do this, I had my drum. I was all ready, and Mark, the filmmaker, arrived, and he had this guy with him named David Byrne.
Mm-hmm.
And we his only instructions to us were to, you know, do some cacophonous music, crazy music that rises, crescendos, and then diminuendos.
Yeah. You didn't
fades out.
You didn't meet him before. It was the first time you met him.
No, I had seen him. I had seen him, but I didn't know him because
Yeah.
we just didn't. We never really spoke to each other until that time. And so it went very well. The filmmaker was happy, and afterwards I told David, I said, look, I've been thinking of starting a band here at RISD and at the Rhode Island School of Design, and I wonder, would you like to be in it? Because he seemed like a kind of a cool guy, and I liked the way he played guitar very much. Yeah. And I hadn't heard his singing voice yet.
Yeah.
But David agreed. He said, yes, I'd like to start a band. And so
sorry, Chris, is there a record?
I invited a couple of other friends.
Sorry.
There are no recordings, I'm sorry to say. I think there was a videotape. There's a videotape of, I tried to find the recordings. The guy who made the movie can't remember a thing about it. But there was maybe some video. This was in the very early, it was 1973.
Yeah.
So it was very early days of video.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody made a video of us, but I can't find it. I don't know who has it or if it still would even play today.
Mm.
But anyway, David and I started this band together. We called it the Artistics.
Yeah. You were you were 4 people.
I like David.
You were 4 people in
Artistics was 4 people and then 5 people and then sometimes guests, so it would be sometimes 6 of us.
Yeah.
But the basic group was 4 people, yes.
Okay.
2 guitars, bass and drums.
And David was singing in Artistics?
Yes, David became the singer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
no records.
It was
no records.
He would no, we didn't make any records.
Any records. No more.
The sole purpose of the band was to please our friends, to entertain our friends.
Yeah.
And we didn't have any recording aspirations or anything like that. But then we started to think, oh, maybe we should write some original songs, because we were doing other people's songs like 96 Tears by Question Mark and the Mysterians, and I Can't Control Myself by the Trogs, and I Can't Explain by the Who, and I'm Waiting for the Man by the Velvet Underground, but also
good school.
All very cool songs, and also things like Al Green, Love and Happiness by Al Green, and Smokey Robinson, things like that. So anyway, David, we thought maybe we could write some of our own songs. And one day I shared a painting studio with Tina. Tina and I were, boyfriend and girlfriend. Yeah. And we were also sharing a painting studio. So one day there's a knock on the door, and it's David with his guitar. He had this funky acoustic guitar that had like paint splatters on it and stuff. And he played us, he said, I've got a song. It's it's sort of loosely in the style of Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
And I'd like you to help me finish it. And he wanted he played us the verse and the chorus. That's all he had at the time, is one verse and the chorus.
You did
And he said, I call this Psycho Killer. And we thought, wow, it's hilarious. And he wanted Tina to write in French, the middle 8, the bridge section, ce qu'elle a dit ce soir-là, etc. And so she did that, just sat down and wrote it. And
immediately.
Pardon me?
Immediately she started writing.
Yes. Yeah, it took a few minutes, but not very long. And I wrote the second and third verses. And David played it. He liked it. He wrote down in his little notebook. He copied down what we had written, and we started playing that song with the Artistics.
Oh, yeah.
And all of our friends thought it was great. They really liked it. So we thought, wow, we have to do more of this. And so the next song we wrote together was called Warning Sign.
But at this time, Tina was not in the band.
Tina was not in the band. She
was. So the bass line was, sorry, the bass line was written. The bass line, fantastic bass line, was already written at this moment.
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. And but Tina was not. Oh no, the bass line was not written. Tina created. Okay. I'm sorry. Tina. We had a bass player and he wrote a part, and it might have been something like what Tina came up with, but it was not exactly the same or anything like that.
Bass line. Okay. Okay, it was not the bass line. So important.
I was trying very hard to get Tina to join the band.
Yeah, no.
But she said no. That's rock and roll is for boys, and she was sort of right about that at the time. But she changed eventually when we moved to New York. She changed her mind.
Yeah, I know. Just one little question. When you were working with David, your first songs in the loft, you were living with Tina, David, and you on the loft, and you were working when Tina hadn't joined yet. You were working only with David the songs, and Tina was in the room and listening to your work, and she was around and listening what you were doing. And that gave her the will to join, maybe. And my question is more precise. Maybe I should ask to Tina, but I asked to you. Before joining the band, only by listening to what you were doing, did she learn the future bass lines she will later do? You understand what I mean? Did she have in mind the bass line that will appear later without be in the band, just by listening you?
It is c'est possible, oui.
C'est possible.
But I'm not sure. She did not play the bass, but she's very musical.
Yeah.
So I had no doubt that she would be a good. It was not established that Tina would play the bass. Even that was her decision, because that's what we needed. Really, was a bass player, and she taught herself. I mean, I did not teach her. I don't play bass.
Yeah.
David did not teach her. David does not play bass. Tina taught herself.
Yeah, she did all by herself, because the first bass line of the first record are fantastic. So for a drummer, it must be fantastic to play on this funky rhythm, on these funky melodies.
Yes.
Sure, happy man.
It is. Oui.
Oui.
Époustouflante.
Époustouflante, oui. Chris, I remember there's a video on YouTube with a black and white video on YouTube. It was one of your first shows in CBGB. It may be on June 75. It's a very close video from the David's face. And at this moment,
yep,
there was Psycho Killer, I'm Not in Love, maybe, as a tune. And David seems in his singing, very, very shy, very introverted. In comparison with what we knew after, when we saw him, even in 77, it was. And how did he get rid of this sort of shyness he had at this moment? Oh,
well, that took a long time for him to overcome that, but eventually he did.
Sure.
People liked him anyway. People, you know, David was unusual, especially for a frontman in a rock band. He had a very unusual presence, demeanor, and it was fascinating for people. And Tina and I recognized that. We could see that people were intrigued by David's awkward behavior, and gradually he became more and more confident. And eventually he became one of the great frontman of rock and roll, in my opinion.
Sure. Yeah. And at the beginning, he was playing only with acoustic guitar, 12-string guitars. The first show.
He had acoustic and electric.
Electric. Okay.
Yeah, both. He had tous les deux.
Tous les deux. Okay. And so.
Oui.
How the edition of Jerry changed the way of create the songs? When Jerry joined, has the creative process changed?
Jerry was the perfect complement, the perfect choice. He at first he just fit in. Like, Jerry is a very accomplished musician.
Yeah.
He was by far the most accomplished musician in the band. He played guitar and keyboards both very, very well. But when he first joined us, he didn't try to change the band at all. He just tried to play complementary parts that worked with the existing parts, and that was true up until somewhere when we were doing the second album. He started to create parts, new parts. We started to write new songs together, but he was always he made the sound bigger and more beautiful, gave it a really cool texture. Yeah.
But when you record more songs about buildings and food, that was old song. Finally, that was the first song. You could have done 2 records in 77, maybe. You know, you have enough songs to fill two albums, maybe.
Yes. we could have done, but they only wanted one album in 1977.
Okay, it's okay.
And
it's a great album.
and
So
in those days we were touring a lot
yeah,
to promote that album, so we didn't have time to record another album
yeah,
until
sure. Oh, it's
1978.
yeah.
Yeah.
And on the recording of 77, it appears that David was not very impressed by Tony Bon Jovi production, and and particularly with this record, the sound is very clear, very we can hear all instruments. The production is very clean, and it's fantastic because
Yes.
we can listen real clearly each instrument. And is every member of the group agreed with this production, or because in live you were more raw, you were more wild in live, and the record is very sweet. It's a sweet, funky record, fantastic record. And
well,
all the members were okay with the production, or maybe some don't.
I was very happy with the production.
Yeah.
We had a great engineer, a guy named Ed Stasium, who was also working with the Ramones at the time. But he was a very experienced engineer. For example, he'd recorded and mixed Midnight Train to Georgia for Gladys Knight and the Pips and stuff like that. I mean, he wasn't just a punk engineer. And he did an excellent job.
Yeah.
And Tony didn't really get us, because Tony was used to dealing with studio musicians and artists like Donna Summer, for example. And you know, he at the time we were recording that, Tony had the #1 album in the country in the United States with Disco Star Wars. So Tony Bon Jovi and the Talking Heads were from two different worlds. And how he became our producer was, I think he owed Seymour Stein, our record company guy, a favor or something like that. I'm not sure exactly how, but he was also working with the Ramones at that time, or just before that. So we thought, well, if he's good enough for the Ramones, he's good enough for us. You know.
Okay, but when you record more songs, the production was maybe closer than what Talking Heads was in live on the More Songs production by Eno.
Yes.
Was more raw.
Yes. Well, we were very happy with the production on More Songs About Buildings and Food also. And it was a great pleasure to work with Eno.
Yeah.
But yeah, the sound of the two records is very different, but they're both good.
Yeah, sure. And so, Chris, I will put one tune. Maybe you know.
Okay.
Maybe it work. Oh, Bluetooth is disconnected. Okay, you know, Clean Break live version. So my question, when I discovered the live record, the 2 LP live, I discovered this song, but on some bootlegs there is some versions, but this one is particularly good. And the question was always in my mind was why this song is not on any record on any studio record.
Yeah.
Why?
That's a good question. I don't know why. I don't know.
You don't know?
Maybe David had a song. Maybe David didn't want it to be on the second album. I don't think it was written in time for the first album, but
Yeah,
it's one of those songs that we wrote in between the first and second album. I guess David had other songs that he thought were better, or Eno, maybe Eno did. I don't know. I can't remember. But it is a good song. I like it.
Yeah. Sure. So, Chris, just remember the year of 77. I made a little list. You record the album in spring, then you tour Europe opening for the Ramones. Then there was your wedding. Then there was the Roxy concert at Bottom Line. Then you mix 77.
Yes.
Then you release 77 in September. Then you tour again in Europe. And then as headliner this time, and with XTC opening. And then you record on the spring of 78 more songs. So what a crazy period for you. It was up, always up. How do you manage with this success?
Well, you know, it was very exciting. It was very exciting for us, and we were young. I was at that time 24 years old. Yeah. So no, I excuse me. 77. I was 26 years old, right. And you know, I was young, full of energy. We all were.
Yeah, sure.
And we were doing exactly what we wanted to do. For me, it was like a dream come true. Mm-hmm. It was, you know, I had never been to Europe, so it was exciting to. Well, I went to Europe the first time with the Ramones. With XTC, it was the second time to Europe. Second time playing the Bataclan, which is, you know, wonderful. And
there's a soundtrack of
it was hard work, I'm telling you. Yeah. We didn't get a lot of sleep.
I imagine so.
I'm still catching up on the sleep. Yeah.
And for the song called Electricity in the early years, then it became Drugs on Fear of Music. How did the change? Why this song change of tempo of? Electricity was a song, classical talking head song, and in the Fear of Music record, it's another treatment. Is it Eno's idea, or maybe was it yours?
I just gotta. It was. Let's see. We recorded it. We recorded that song for Fear of Music, and Eno felt that it could use he was very into dub music, Jamaican dub music at the time. Mm-hmm. I remember he was most impressed with Dr. Alimentado. So anyway, it was, we were on tour in Australia, and he mixed the record for us. I've got to just.
You want me to cut?
Hang on. I forgot to take the telephone off the hook. So anyway, yeah, it transformed in the studio to a sort of psychedelic dub-wise mix. Mm-hmm. And we all liked it very much. We thought it was really cool. I still like it. There's even some of the things David had recorded some animals in Australia, like you can hear the animal noises, and on that song that were when you know, it was kind of complicated. The first mixes that Eno did were not good, and so we were in Australia. We heard them. We're like, these are not good. And so David and Jerry went back to New York with another engineer to remix it with Brian. Okay. And that's when the final version of Drugs was done. Tina and I were in Le Trégor.
Okay.
So.
And for the recording of Fear of Music, it was it started with jam session. You tell in the book it was all the songs were written after jamming. Is that the process for this record?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how we did it. And David would record it on a cassette, take it home, and write lyrics.
Okay.
And I would have been happy to write lyrics, but by this point in time, David wanted to be the only lyric writer.
Yeah.
So I said, "Oh, okay. What the hell?"
And Chris, thank you for your time. Just last question.
Yeah.
Tell our audience your special relationship with friends. Why this special affection for friends? It's cool for us.
Well, yeah. Well, it's mostly because of Tina's influence, and her mother was from France. Sadly, her mother is no longer with us, but Tina still looks after her mother's family home in Brittany on a beautiful hill overlooking the sea. And I mean, I love Paris.
Yeah.
I love, the French Alps. I love parts of Normandy. I've traveled all over France, but Brittany is where we have that family connection on Tina's part. Yeah. She has many cousins, cousine, and it's a different world from what we have here in the United States.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
So we keep going back. Every year we go back to visit there, and every year we stay a little bit longer. Like first it was 2 weeks, and then it was 3 weeks, and then it was a month, and now it's like 2, possibly 3 months. We really enjoy ourselves there.
I've forgotten one question about a song called Artist Only. I always wonder why on the record you record in a form, and when you play it live, you play the 4 sections 3 times, and I love that live version with the 4 sections 3 times in a row. And when we listen to more songs, it's not the cutting is not the same. And I do prefer the live version. Why? It's always a question that when I want to sleep,
sometimes you have to edit your songs for a record so that you can fit them, all the songs you want in those days of vinyl.
So
with a CD, you don't have to worry so much about the length. But in those days, you wanted it to be between 18 and 20 minutes or 22 minutes tops. So sometimes you would have to shorten things up a little bit.
That's the
And
reason.
that is the reason. That is the
Thank
reason.
you. I will sleep tonight. So, Chris, two last questions. Is there any project coming for Tom Tom Club?
It's very possible, but we have no plans at the moment because of the COVID, you know.
Yeah, sure.
Nobody can do anything right now, really.
Mhm.
But we had thought, Tina is going to be working on a book also.
Oh,
In fact, she's already started.
what subject?
It's a memoir.
Oh, fantastic.
It's going to be really good, I can tell you. But Tina and I had thought, well, maybe we could do something strictly electronic,
Mhm.
you know, inspired by Kraftwerk,
Yeah, sure.
and you know, something kind of a little bit funky, but also with a little bit of a classical influence. And that's something that we've never done before, you know, drum machines and synthesizers and everything. And we
Drum machine?
felt like,
Chris?
yeah.
Drum machine? Oh, no.
Pourquoi pas? Well, you know, if you're doing electronic music, you kind of have to use drum machines, or it doesn't sound like electronic music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine a Kraftwerk with like a rock and roll drummer? That would be funny. So anyway, we'll see what happens. But we had thought we could do something like that, and that would be something different. And you know, you pronounce your name DG?
Yeah.
Digi?
Yeah.
Digi? How do you pronounce your name?
DJ.
Digi.
En France, in French, DJ. In French, DJ. In English, DJ.
DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Well, you know, we're of a certain age, and you know, we've done a lot of good work in the past,
Sure.
And no matter what we do now, somebody's going to say, "Oh, I like them better back in 1978," or "I like them better back in 1982." You know what I'm saying? So that's what happens to us now. It's whatever we do now, we do it for fun. We don't, it's not necessarily for money or anything like that, because maybe nobody will even buy the record, but we do it for fun. And so if it's going to be fun, we'll do it. If it's not going to be fun, we don't do it. Ça va?
Last question from a member of the group. I tell the group, maybe Chris Frantz on interview, what questions do you want me to ask to Chris Frantz? And one member tell me if the Talking Heads were going on tour without David, which singer Chris Frantz would like to have instead of David singing? It's a funny question, no?
Yeah. You know,
I told him it was not a sympathetic question.
I think we would like to ask Frank Darcel. Frank Darcel.
Frank Darcel. Oh,
that's who.
Marquis de Sade.
You hear me?
Frank Darcel.
Oui.
I know him.
Oui.
Guitarist of Marquis de Sade.
Frank Darcel. De Marquis.
Marquis, le Marquis.
Et maintenant Marquis.
Marquis. I've seen. Have you seen Market Sad when it was on? When it was on in the 1980? No. And I've seen the reformation.
I never saw them, but I heard. I never saw them, but I heard them.
I would like to thank you for your time, for your kindness, and it was a very pleasant moment for me. I hope for you too. And maybe we can do, maybe next time we can do the other period, the expanded period. Maybe we can talk about these topics. For my part, I must confess, I prefer the four members setup. Okay. I'm too nostalgic about this, but the other part is okay too. I don't be angry with me.
D'accord.
Ok, Chris, merci beaucoup. Bisous à Tina et puis j'espère à bientôt.
Bien sûr.
Bye.
Ok, bye. Bye, DJ.
Ciao.
Au revoir.
You don't remember anything at all. I'm sleeping, I'm flat on my back. Never woke up at no beats. There's a party in my mind, and I hope it never stops. There's a party up there all the time. Other people can go. Everybody else must stay. I'll be here all the time. I can never quit. Take a walk through the land of shadows. Take a walk through the peaceful meadows. Don't look so disappointed. It isn't what you hoped for.